Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We're your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 4, Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire.
Wow, what a mouthful of a title.
I know, right?
So Mariah, how was your week?
It was good. I've been working a lot, but actually, later today, I'm going to one of Tyler's gigs at this nice bar that's on the water, and
Ooh.
I'm sure it'll be a good time.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah. It's like outdoors and like people that like live in the neighborhood or whatever can like show up and like park their boats and like come to the bar.
I love it. I love it.
So how was your week?
It was good. We actually, one crazy thing that happened is we actually had to call the cops on a client at work.
Oh no.
There was like a whole misunderstanding about a lost dog that got brought to us, and we called the owners that were like registered on their microchip, and then this guy came in the next day and he was like, that was my dog and you should have called me because I'm a client and I bring my dog to you. And we were like, you weren't listed anywhere on the microchip. There were no tags. Like, how were we supposed to know to call you? And he was just getting more and more agitated and like angry and yelling, and he wasn't listening at all. And so our manager was like, I need you to leave the property, because we were basically telling him like, there's nothing else that we can do for you. Like, you're gonna have to file a police report and like go that route. And he was like, okay, well then file it, call him. And we were like, no, you have to call him. And he was like, well, I don't have a phone. Which is funny because literally 5 minutes before, he was showing me on his phone all the texts that he received from us to prove that he was like a current client. He was like, I don't have a phone, and can I use yours? And we were like, no, you can't. And so then my manager was like, you need to leave our property now, or we're gonna call the cops. And he was like, he just wouldn't listen. He was still yelling and screaming. So then she called the cops, and he only left after she came back up and started like describing what he was wearing to the dispatcher. And then he was like, she's lying, she's a liar, as he's like running out the door and screaming across the clinic. And then he came back in, and at this point we had like other people in the lobby and like people trying to check in for their actual appointments and stuff. And he's like still yelling, and it was a whole thing. But turns out it wasn't even his dog. So
that's wow.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
That is definitely crazy. Wow.
Anyway.
So, you ready to get started?
Yeah, I think so.
So, this episode was written by Matt Owens and directed by Brad Turner, which I feel like we might have heard Brad Turner before, but Matt Owens,
Maybe.
I'm not sure we've heard before.
Yeah, neither of these sound super familiar.
Yeah. But it was a really good episode,
Cool.
So
Yeah, for sure.
props to them.
Great job, Matt and Brad.
Yeah. So the episode is titled Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire, which is a line from the Jimi Hendrix song Fire.
Ah, okay. I figured it was a reference to something because I was like, that's way too much of a clunky title.
So ahead of the episode's airing, Marvel released a teaser poster depicting Ghost Rider and his Hell Charger, with the pod's promotional title, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ghost Rider. The poster was drawn by comic book artist Francesco Francavilla. I feel like I sounded like such an asshole saying that. Anyway,
No, you're fine.
Gabriel Luna promoted the episode as Lola versus Lucy, referring to the episode's car chase.
It was a pretty cool car chase.
Yeah.
Wait, so his car is called Lucy?
Apparently.
Wow.
But that's the
Because
same
we
name
also
as
have
the
that
ghost.
Yeah.
We say the same thing, and then we have the same, like, reaction.
Wait, because it was Elias's car first, and Elias worked with Lucy. What if he named the car after Lucy?
Ooh.
Because he thought that she was dead, right? Oh, shit. Lore.
All right.
Well, speaking of our new characters here, we have Uncle Elias Morrow. I did refer to him as Tio Eli because that's what Robbie called him. And he is completely valid and reasonable, and I'm Team Tio. And then we have Joe, who's a real sleepy guy, you know. So let's get into this. We start off, Fitzsimmons are apartment hunting! Ah! So cute. And Simmons thinks that she's about to tour the perfect one for them. Unfortunately, Fitz is swamped between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Radcliffe, so he can't do the tour with her. But Simmons promises to take lots of pictures.
They're looking for their first apartment.
I love it so much.
This scene is so cute.
Oh.
Oh.
So as Simmons knocks on the door, though, it's not latched, and it just kind of swings open. So she slowly walks in, very suspicious, obviously, and eventually draws her gun while calling out to ask if anyone's there. And suddenly, the front door closes behind her, and Daisy leaves a fucking trail of blood as she slides down the door asking for Simmons' help. Oh my god, what a reunion. Eli gets called from his prison cell to meet with an unexpected visitor, and we get to pan past his shelves, and he has a very cute picture of him and an able-bodied Gabe. It was very cute.
So Uncle Eli is shown reading The Positronic Man by Isaac Asimov and Robert Silverberg. It is about a robot with a positronic brain that is ultimately declared an official human being. This may be a reference to Ada, who is passed off as fully human in front of Agent May.
Wow. That's... oh my god. What an Easter egg. Eli's visitor is, of course, Agent Phil Coulson, who gives the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. spiel. The S.H.I.E.L.D. spiel.
S.H.I.E.L.D. spiel.
And I really missed that. Felt like a little throwback. Coulson is looking to get more information about the accident at Momentum Labs, but it's going to take a little more to get Eli to crack. Coulson tells him that if Eli helps S.H.I.E.L.D., then there's a chance that Coulson can get Eli out of prison. May is awake and annoyed. Just as she reaches over to turn off the constantly beeping machine next to her, Ada appears and pushes the button for her. And just then, as they're talking about how annoying that was, Radcliffe walks in and explains to May what happened to her. He says that they had to kill her just a little bit so that her nervous system would reboot and get over the ghost virus. Radcliffe also informs May that she will have to remain there for a little while longer until he and Fitz have created a chemical cure for the virus so that they don't have to kill any future victims. He then introduces Ada as May's personal nurse and assistant, which means that May doesn't know that Ada is a robot. Yet. And I have a feeling she's going to be pretty pissed when they do finally find out. Back at the apartment, Simmons stitches up Daisy's bullet wound in her back and asks if she's been wearing her arm gauntlets to protect her wrists. Daisy says that those aren't very conspicuous and asks Simmons to stop mothering her, which annoyed me. You're coming to her for help. Once Simmons has concluded that Daisy was exploiting Simmons' search history to lure her to this apartment, Daisy assures her that the apartment actually is perfect for her and fits based on Simmons' searches. And Daisy says it's theirs if they want it. She even secured them rent control. Fuck yes! Can someone do that for me, please?
No, really. We all need a Daisy in our lives.
For sure. The only thing, I'm sure she will pay to get the blood cleaned off of the door. Hopefully. Anyway, so Daisy then takes a chance and brings up the real reason that she reached out, other than the medical attention, obviously. She shows Simmons the list of Inhumans and their GPS coordinates that she took off of the watchdog that put the bullet in her back. Daisy asks Simmons to help her hack into S.H.I.E.L.D. and get the list herself so that she can get to the Inhumans before the watchdogs do. Simmons starts to refuse, saying that she gets regularly lie detector tested, and there's no way that she can explain willingly helping a wanted vigilante over sticking to her own S.H.I.E.L.D. duties. So Daisy pulls out Simmons' gun and says, "What if it's not voluntary?" And Simmons says, "I've missed you too." I love them.
I love their relationship. Oh, Skimmins.
Skimmins. Such a terrible fucking shit name. Why didn't it get updated with her name?
I don't know. Maybe it did. I just remember Skimmins the most.
Dimmins. Maybe because Dimmins is worse.
Dimmins.
It's like, Doug Dimmadome. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Anyway, so back to Coulson and Eli. Coulson is really tugging on the heartstrings here. He finally tells him that Eli's old colleagues actually aren't dead. They're back, and they have new abilities, and they're hurting people. He asks Eli to give him any information that they can use to stop them, but Eli refuses and walks away. Because why would he trust him? Outside, Coulson meets back up with Mac in the parking lot, and they regroup. But as they're talking, Mac makes eye contact with Robbie in his souped-up car, and they recognize... Robbie's face when he's like, "Who the fuck is that?" And then he starts like driving faster. Iconic. Anyway, so Mac sees him and recognizes him from the lab. So then the car chase ensues. My favorite line from this being Mac like describing the car that Robbie's in, and Coulson being like, "Maybe admire his car after we catch him, huh?"
So the episode's central car chase features Coulson's flying 1962 Chevrolet Corvette Lola chasing Reyes's fiery Hell Charger, a 1969 Dodge Charger nicknamed Lucy. The sequence was filmed in Los Angeles, with location scouting for the sequence beginning by searching for an ideal corner for the Charger to make a big hard left. The streets around the corner were then augmented with directed traffic in a near-miss configuration to make the sequence more dynamic. It sees the Charger weaving between the other vehicles and then veering away in the opposite direction for added effect. One stunt sees a large truck backing out of a driveway, with the stunt teams timing it so that the Charger can drive around the back, but the much smaller Lola has to drive underneath it.
It was so cool.
It was.
And then I love the when they like get into the Los Angeles River, and it's like reminiscent of the car race in Greece, and then Coulson's like,
"Yeah,
this means I get his car now, right?"
Totally. Wilson.
I miss his little, like, one-liners and quips and stuff.
Yes.
He's been so serious lately. Finally, Robbie runs directly into an invisible Quinjet and is immediately knocked out, but not a scratch on him or the car, actually, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No excuses for you.
Okay. I knew there was another one coming. So Simmons and Daisy are waiting in the van outside of a S.H.I.E.L.D. building, going over the plan again. Daisy wants Simmons to steal Agent Albie's ID badge so that Daisy can put a new identity over it, and then Simmons would go back inside, sneak into the server room, and insert the flash drive into the server, giving Daisy remote access. I love Simmons being like trying to interject, and Daisy's just like, no, this is the plan. You're gonna stick to it. Tell me that you understand the plan. And then so Simmons sees Agent Albie and practically skips across the street to her, converses for a few seconds, and then gives Albie the flash drive and heads back over to Daisy. And Daisy's like, what the fuck? What was that? And Simmons says she just told Albie to insert the flash drive because it has new information on it. Daisy is absolutely flabbergasted, and Simmons simply reminds her that technically she's most people's boss at S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't think that she knew that Daisy knew that.
Oh, probably
not. That it matters, but
yeah, it was so funny. I loved it. I love Boss Simmons.
Yes, she's fantastic. So discussing Simmons' actions in the episode, Henstridge noted that the previous episodes in the season had established the character's new position high in the S.H.I.E.L.D. hierarchy so that this episode could see her abuse that power, using her position to help her friends, including the now ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Johnson, rather than the agency of its director. Henstridge said that this is the whole reason that she got herself into a position of power, but it is a turning point for her, because in that moment she could have gone the other way and chose to protect her new position.
Yeah. Oh, Simmons. She always ends up making the right decision. I would trust her with my life. So Fitz has arrived at Radcliffe's house and nearly combusts at the sight of Ada interacting with May. Radcliffe convinces him that this is the best possible test to see if Ada is ready to get past the most formidable, most discerning agent in all of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Fitz can't back out now, so he quickly greets May and Ada before he and Radcliffe head back to continue working on their ghost cure. And May seems none the wiser. Yet.
So the Turing test, referred to in this and earlier episodes, is a challenge for artificial intelligence to pass as human when interacting with a human. It's named after Alan Turing, the World War II-era British cryptoanalyst who created the machine that cracked Germany's message encryption and led directly to the end of the war.
Oh, cool. Nice little... That was a good fun fact. I like that one.
Thank you. I say it like I came up with it. I mean, like I knew what the Turing test was, but... You know those things where, like, you just know what it is, but you can't explain to somebody what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, that was the Turing test.
I didn't know that. I feel like I've heard of Alan Turing, but I had never actually heard of the Turing test, so... We're like... if we just combine our knowledge, then we'll know.
Yeah.
So Daisy and Simmons finally get connected to the server back at the apartment and figure out that James... Well, okay. I love that I clocked this first, accidentally.
Yeah. I was a little confused. I was like, wait, but she's right though, but that's not okay.
So what I wrote was that they figure out that James is the one funneling inhuman info to the watchdogs, but really what they saw was, oh, I recognize this ID number. Let's go find him to warn him, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because that was the first number that they recognized. I mean... Anyway, so Daisy says that she hasn't seen him since Hive, and Simmons says that he only shows his face when he absolutely has to for check-ins. Daisy starts to say a quick goodbye and head out on her own, but Simmons says she can't have it both ways, pushing everyone away until it's convenient for her. And Simmons says, besides, you've already put a gun to my head. We're in this together now. Finally!
So Hinstridge appreciated the episode exploring the relationship between Simmons and Johnson, feeling that there was so much bad blood between them after the events of the third season that could be explored. She compared this to a relationship between sisters.
Absolutely. It used to be mad love, and it can be again.
Yeah.
Coulson and Mac talk to Robbie from his containment pod, and Coulson consolidates what they know about him. His past, that he kills people but with a code, that he's not an inhuman. And Robbie tells him, as he tells everybody apparently, that he sold his soul to the devil. It's like his biggest non-secret. Coulson and Mac step aside to assess if they actually believe this. Mac says he believes in God, so he might as well believe in the opposite. But Coulson says most gods he's met turned out to be aliens, and an alien would probably make sense here anyway. Then Coulson confirms with Mac that it seems like Daisy trusts Robbie. Mac says yes, so without saying anything, Coulson immediately goes over and opens Robbie's door. Like father, like daughter. I do love that. He's like, if he's good enough for Daisy, he's good enough for me. Even though I haven't seen Daisy in like a year.
And all I know about her is that she's been like robbing banks and shit.
So Simmons and Daisy arrive to James's place of work. A fucking fireworks shop. Of course. In talking to him, it seems like James has been trying to work on himself and be better than he was. Daisy warns him about the watchdogs and that he should take off his shield watch so that they can't track him anymore. But since James wasn't exactly cooperative when they put it on, his doesn't have a clasp. So Daisy just quakes it off. Daisy convinces James to run away, basically, and he says that he needs to show them something first, and says to meet him after his shift at the storage units next door. Daisy agrees immediately and heads out, but Simmons is a little more hesitant.
Fair,
as she
valid.
should be. So Robbie says Coulson is crazy for letting him out of the cage. And maybe a little. But Coulson says that he's pretty sure S.H.I.E.L.D. and Robbie are on the same side, working towards the same thing. He just needs something to prove it. And apparently the way to prove it is for Robbie to get his Uncle Eli to talk to them. I would like to know, who said that Robbie wanted to prove that they're on the same side anyway? He never said he wanted to work with them. Like, there is no incentive. They literally picked him up and then were like, now you need to prove if we can trust you. I'm sorry, you kidnapped him. But his incentive, apparently, is that Coulson said his only other option is that they can open the plane door and he can be on his way, but they're not landing first. Which is pretty fucking cold.
Yeah.
Ada is explaining the test results of May's latest brain scan, and Radcliffe lets May know that she will have to stick around for a little bit more observation and testing before they can let her go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. May insults Radcliffe in Mandarin, and Ada translates it to May's surprise. May asks Ada where she's from, and Ada starts to say, well, most of me is Chinese. Before Fitz interrupts and makes up a rushed backstory about Ada being from Canada and there being a large Chinese population in Ontario. Which is a crazy reason for her to just know Mandarin.
Yeah.
So, and then he finds an excuse for Ada to leave the room. May says that she likes Ada. She likes that she's very professional and no nonsense. So Fitz and Radcliffe are both pleasantly surprised. Is there a large Chinese population in Ontario?
I actually don't know. Let me see.
Because I feel like Ontario is more like east-ish.
There,
I feel like it would make sense.
5.9% of Ontario is Chinese.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I mean, that's a good chunk, I guess.
yeah.
When you consider that, like, I don't know, gay people are like, 1%, maybe.
Yeah. I suppose so. I don't know math.
Anyway, moving on. So Robbie visits his Tio Eli, and after catching up a little, he starts to ask Shields questions while they watch and listen in secret. Eli explains that the group was building a quantum particle generator, something to create matter out of nothing. And they did, but it blew up, apparently killing everyone except for Eli and Joe. And Eli is in jail for attacking Joe in revenge. They make a few pointed statements about revenge and demons, and this makes me think that the ghostwriter thing is maybe hereditary in some way. I don't know. And then Eli said if Lucy is still alive, she would be going after the book that they were all obsessed with that gave them the information to build the machine.
So, following the airing of the previous episode, executive producer Jed Whedon teased that Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire would explore the dynamic between Luna's ghostwriter, Robbie Reyes, and Elias Morrow, his uncle, but would be pivoting from the storyline in the comics. We're pulling the characters, the character names, and the relationships, but I think you can already feel that we've changed it. Those dynamics will be entirely different. We're using them as inspiration.
So what were their... I guess how
I don't
know what
think
they were like in the
Momentum
comics.
Labs was like involved in the backstory.
Okay.
I think
Gotcha.
like it's exactly, I don't know how they were in the comics either. Like I don't know the exact backstory. But apparently this was not the backstory.
So just as they're getting this information about the book, Coulson and Mac get called away for an inhuman emergency. Lucy, who we haven't seen in a while, has found Joe in the hospital, and she wakes him from his coma and demands to know where the book is. And I know this actor who plays Joe, but I cannot place him.
I don't think I've seen him before, except for this.
Yeah. What was his last name? Bauer?
Yeah.
Hang on. He looks so familiar. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
He might just have one of those faces.
Oh my god! I just remembered. He was in The Fosters.
Oh. Yeah, I've never seen The Fosters.
He plays the birth dad of somebody, and he was only on the show for like half a season. Anyway. So Robbie makes it back onto the plane and asks where the hell everyone went because it took so long for him to catch up with them. They literally just left him. Coulson and Mac tell him that something came up and they have to make a detour before they can go for the book. Robbie is reasonably upset and says that he held up his end of the deal and he doesn't want to make a detour. Coulson says if he wants to work with S.H.I.E.L.D., this comes with it. Otherwise, he's free to go on by himself. And again, I don't know what Robbie's incentive here is, except that they're gonna, like, throw him off the plane. They're not exactly being inviting. And they're not really, like... yeah, I don't know. To be like, if you want to work with S.H.I.E.L.D., this is how it goes. He didn't want to work with S.H.I.E.L.D.
You came to him. You kidnapped him.
Anyway, I guess at this point he's like, well, they have the resources that I don't have, and, like, probably have more information than I have at this point anyway. I can see that, but, like... Yeah. Anyway. So... Ada is recharging at the kitchen table and asks why Fitz lied for her earlier. Ada says that Radcliffe programmed her not to lie or harm humans in any way. And Radcliffe explains to her that sometimes lying is okay as long as your intent is to protect someone or to save a life. Ada asks who Fitz was saving by lying earlier to May, and Radcliffe says, yours. This is a terrible explanation of lying. Like, oh my god, there's no way that'll go wrong. You're teaching your android that it's okay to lie sometimes. So Simmons and Daisy are waiting for James by the storage unit and arguing about why they're even helping him. He finally arrives, and as he is extremely slowly unlocking the door. It took him so long to unlock the door. Daisy continues giving him a pep talk, saying he can start over and be better and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he opens the door and Maisie looks up to a gun barrel directly aimed at her face. Obviously. James explains that he has been working with the Watchdogs, letting them use his watch to hack into S.H.I.E.L.D. because he hates Inhumans, including himself. And he says he hates what Daisy made him become. She reminds him that he was obsessed with Inhumans and wanted desperately to be one when she changed him. And he says, well, he's miserable now, so he's changing his history, and he's helping the Watchdogs kill every single Inhuman and saving himself for last.
So J.T. James, which is apparently his name, the explosive Inhuman...
I thought his first name was James.
I don't know. His name is James.
Name is
James.
James the James.
Anyway, he drops references to the first-person shooter Overwatch with his lines, most notably fellow Australian explosives-obsessed Jameson Fox. The lines include, stop me if you've heard this one before. This bomb's for you. Wait, what'd you say?
I just said, oh wow, because their names are James and Jameson.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to get in the way.
The lines include, stop me if you've heard this one before. This bomb's for you. It's a perfect night for some mayhem. And, well, that's a nice how do you do. And also some of Gemma Simmons' lines also reference the same game's British character, Tracer.
Those do read like video game lines.
Yeah.
So obviously they are in a pickle. Daisy gives the floor a quick quake, and then she and Simmons run while the men are all thrown off their feet. They hide in an unlocked storage unit while the Watchdogs run past them. Daisy is pretty sure that she has shattered all the bones in both arms now, and Simmons only has a couple shots left in her gun. But before they can figure out their next move, James has found them and has thrown an explosion through the roll-up door. So he steps in and he grabs the chain and lights it on fire. But as he brings it back to attack, Robbie shows up and grabs it with his stupid little gloved hand.
His little fingerless gloves.
And he takes it out of James's hand. And James says, I don't know who the hell you think you are, but you just made a huge mistake. And Robbie says, funny, I was going to say the same thing without the accent.
That was good.
That was like the best Australian accent I've ever done.
Yeah, that was really good, dude. I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
So, promotion for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s 4th season at San Diego Comic-Con featured flaming chains, leading to speculation that the series would be introducing the character of Ghost Rider. Though the speculation turned out to be true, with Gabriel Luna cast in that role and introduced with the start of the season, some commentators noted that the series already featured a character who wielded a flaming chain, Axel Whitehead's James. In October 2016, Marvel revealed that James would also be returning for the season alongside Luna's Ghost Rider, with both characters set to appear in the 4th episode of the season. And also, this is the first episode to feature Ghost Rider wielding his iconic flaming chain.
I love that he took the chain back.
Yeah.
He was like, you're appropriating my weapon, and I'm taking it. I love it.
Love it.
So Robbie tells Daisy and Simmons to take the stairs and find Coulson, which Daisy lights up as at his name, honestly. And then they run away. And then as Robbie's head turns to flames, he says, it's time to pay for your sins. Oh my god. So hot. So hot. I can't.
When I read this, I cracked up. We are such villain girlies.
He's not a villain, though.
Yeah, he's an anti-hero. It must be exhausting always rooting for him.
No, it's not. Sorry, Taylor. Too bad. We love you. And anti-heroes. So Simmons and Daisy find Coulson and Mac down in the fireworks shop on the first floor. They put the pieces together that they both came for James, and James was working with the watchdogs. So then Coulson and Mac take out a few more watchdogs as they come in, and then Robbie and James burn through a hole in the wall and fall into the warehouse.
In the episode's climactic fight between Reyes and James in a fireworks factory, a moment sees James burn through a brick wall, and the two falling 10 feet into the factory below. The sequence was choreographed with 2 stunt doubles descending through a fake wall on wires, but on the day the filming schedule was changed, and there was no longer time to set up the wire rig. Instead, the stunt team had the doubles fall through the wall without wires and land on the pads below, which stunt coordinator Tanner Gill said ultimately worked really effectively.
I mean, I'm glad it worked, but what?
I hope it wasn't actually 10 feet. It can't have actually been 10 feet.
Surely not. Surely. Because there were like other things above the floor that they fell behind. So surely it was probably like 5 feet or something.
Yeah.
And then they had like a giant pad to fall onto. But oh my god.
Yeah.
On the day, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Especially if they had like practiced it or anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would assume that there's rehearsal for that. I don't know. That's fucked.
Television. Or should I say Hollywood in general.
Yeah. As they're watching this happen, Max says, 2 fire guys in a warehouse full of fireworks can't be good. Coulson says, you had to see that coming. And then they all run outside just in time for the big iconic explosion.
So for the subsequent fireworks factory explosion, a practical explosion was created by the series effects team, and then CG fireworks were added by Pixelmondo. The practical explosions shook all the stages around the ABC studio lot.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Wild. But have you ever been in a fireworks line of fire? Like,
I've made it a point not to.
When I was a kid once, we were setting off fireworks in the front yard, and the ground was uneven, and it tipped over, and it started coming right at me, and I
ran. That's awful. How old were you?
I must have been 8.
Aw. Your little 8-year-old life flashed before your eyes.
Yeah. All 8 years of my life. And luckily, where I was standing, I'm glad at least that it tipped towards me and not towards the house.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I can get out of the way. The house can't.
Oh, God. So, from out of the rubble, also very hot, Robbie comes out, pulling James by the chain around his wrist, and says to Coulson, "You said alive, right?" Before walking away with the chain in hand. Oh my God. Simmons runs over and confirms that James is alive. Honestly, did Robbie get a spinoff? Because obviously I'll watch anything with Gabriel Luna in it at this point, but I need more of this character in particular.
He didn't get a spinoff, no. But
God damn it.
He is in more of this season, so you'll get to see more of him. It might not be satisfying, but that's what fan fiction is for.
Ah, God damn it. Okay.
Well, no, I think I'm not saying that the storyline is bad. I'm just saying that you might not get enough.
Oh, okay.
There
would never be enough.
It's a very good storyline, I promise.
Okay.
So when asked whether the series still wanted to pursue stories about Inhumans such as James, Whedon said they are still in our world, so we still have some of these people in the mix, but right now we're on the Ghost Rider kick.
Hell yeah, we are. So Daisy is in the plane with Robbie waiting for Coulson. She is expecting him to have some choice words for her, but he just says that he's glad she's safe and he doesn't have anything else to say to her right now, which sucks.
Yeah. Ouch.
He says they have a more pressing issue to deal with right now, and regardless of how Daisy and Robbie usually like to work, it seems that they and S.H.I.E.L.D. are being pushed together on this one. So Coulson asks for them to work with him to find the Darkhold. Daisy asks where they start, and Coulson says that Joseph Bauer, the man at the center of everything who's been in a coma for all these years, just woke up.
Dun dun dun.
What a line.
On having Johnson and Reyes join up with S.H.I.E.L.D., Whedon called it uneasy, quote, for everyone involved. Daisy has made it very clear that she doesn't want to be with our team. There's all that history and pain there. For Robbie, this is a guy who's never had a team and probably doesn't function well within one. We'll see pretty quickly that it's an uneasy alliance, and it's going to cause a lot of drama.
Yeah. Aw. Daisy saying she doesn't want to be on our team.
I know.
That makes me sad. So now it's time for the post-content content. Coulson and Simmons drop by Radcliffe's house to give May a lift back to headquarters. Coulson and Simmons drop by Radcliffe's house to give May a lift back to headquarters. Why?
Oh my god.
It's the last paragraph. Okay. Coulson and Simmons drop by Radcliffe's house to give May a lift back to HQ now that she's officially discharged. Coulson and May joke about how they've both died now. We should start a club, make t-shirts. May thanks Ada, which prompted Coulson to introduce himself to her and shake hands and start making conversation. So, and her being like, I've been giving him a hand since he made them for me. Or since he gave them to me. So funny. Simmons pulls Fitz aside and says that she now realizes why he's been working with Radcliffe so often. Ada is so beautiful. Fitz being like, is she? I prefer classical beauty myself. Simmons says, well, she's an android, obviously. And Fitz is beside himself that Simmons knew so quickly. He explains that he only didn't tell her because he knew that she would have to keep it a secret, and he didn't know when her next lie detector test was. And she says, it's actually tomorrow. Fuck.
Uh-oh.
Fitz says sadly that this is one lie she's gonna have to tell. But Simmons says, actually, there are a few. That makes me so sad. Remember when she couldn't tell any lies?
I know.
Aww. Also, the fact that he was like, I prefer classical beauty myself. Like, to say that he prefers Simmons, but like, they look very similar. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's all.
But that's all. Okay, any overall thoughts?
Yes. I would really like for Tio Eli to get out of jail because honestly, he was perfectly valid for attacking the man who caused their entire team, including his wife, to be fucking incinerated. That's valid. And I think actually what I want is a whole spin-off show about the Reyes family, Robbie, Gabe, and Eli just running their little garage and killing pedophiles and shit, and I love them. I love
Fantastic.
them. What about you?
I don't really have any overall thoughts. I thought this episode was really, really good. I did fall asleep while watching it last night, and so I had to rewatch it this morning. But I didn't have as much left of the episode as I thought I did. I must have stopped it at some point because I only had like 15 minutes left. So, but it was a very good episode, regardless of the fact that I fell asleep. Totally. I was just tired.
It happens. It happens.
And then you texted me and you were like, are we recording tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yes. And then you were like, I'm glad I thought of that now and not 2 a.m.
Yep. And then I still just kind of shitted around until I didn't finish it until about 2:30 anyway, so.
Well, that concludes our episode on Season 4, Episode 4, Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire.
Yeah!
Next time, we'll be covering Season 4, Episode 5, Lockup, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye!
Bye, love you!